Hi, welcome to Senior Moments, Successful Aging. I'm your host, Mary Beals-Ludka. I'm the Area Agency on Aging Director, and you can reach us toll-free at 877-521-3500. This show is co-sponsored with the Division of Lifelong Learning at Yavapai College, and our producer is Nancy Bennett. She does all the work behind the scenes, along with my assistant, Curtis Kegley. You can reach Nancy at 928-717-7607 if you have comments about the show or maybe ideas about a show you'd like to see in the future. At any rate, Nancy would love to hear from you. So I would like to welcome our guest today. Welcome, Paula Fust.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
You too.
So exciting. Paula is in the Prescott Woman magazine for this fall, October, November 2015. So that's exciting. There's a great article in here about you, about life coaching for retirees, which is what we're going to talk about today. But I want to go back a little bit first and talk about your background and how long you've been in Arizona.
Well, I went to graduate school in Tucson, University of Arizona, and then moved to Prescott in 1981. So I've been here a long time, seen a lot of changes, and my career has been spent working in higher education, mostly at Yavapai College, and I've been an academic advisor and career advisor most of those years. So coaching was kind of a natural transition for me, and I became interested in that as part of a second master's degree I did in psychology, and I took a couple coaching courses as part of that degree, and then took a life coaching course that was geared toward retirement after that, and became interested in that because I'm getting close to retirement myself, and I think we all think about, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, what are we going to do when we retire? I always say, what am I going to do when I grow up? I don't think that's happened yet, and I'm also very close to the retirement age, and I think there's a lot of things we don't think about.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there's a lot of aspects to it.
Mm-hmm. And I retired once myself, kind of transitioned into a different position, ended up going back to work, but I experienced some of those things that we experience when we retire, such as the lack of structure in your days, the lack of camaraderie with your coworkers. Mm-hmm. So, I can understand where sometimes people rejoice in retirement because they don't have to work, they don't have to have that routine. But there are advantages to working and kind of having that purpose to get up in the morning and go to work. So I think that planning is always helpful. I work with college students on their educational planning, career planning, and so I started to realize the importance of planning for retirement.
So when you started out so you do life coaching through the spectrum?
Yes, I do. And really academic advising is very similar to coaching. It's kind of student success coaching. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to develop a niche outside of that work, and so retirement coaching seemed logical for the Prescott area and from my own personal interest.
Yeah, we're where the rest of the country is going to be very soon because we have a high population of the baby boomers, which I am one of. So, it's like, what's the number one thing that people do plan for if they plan at all?
Well, most people do some financial planning. Yeah. They think about, will I have enough money to retire? And people are also concerned about their health. Yeah. So they're, seeing the doctor, making sure they're okay, but they don't often think about other aspects. Some people think, well, I'm going to travel. I know I want to travel. But some people jump into buying an RV, and that may not be the best thing for them. Or they plan to travel and visit their children and grandchildren, and that may be great, but sometimes it doesn't fit well for the kids and grandkids. So sometimes even some planning around when to visit, how to be more involved in family members' lives. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot to think about and plan for, and sometimes things don't work out quite the way you want them to. Sometimes you think you're financially prepared to retire, but then you find, well, maybe I should work part-time. So these are the kinds of things we can talk about.
It's interesting because at the Area Agency in Aging, we're seeing quite a few people coming into the agency with amazing experience that are retired and are like, okay, I'm bored. One of them was, I've been retired 3 months and I can't stand it. And it was a man, which I think it's harder for men. I really do. I'm not trying to be sexist, but I think it's harder. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5 right now that are working part-time for us. And aren't we blessed because we get the advantage of having a quality assurance engineer working part-time for us. I would have never been able to hire him,
Right.
At the rate that he was used to making.
Sure.
So it's a win-win for everybody too, and I think that's something that we downplay. And it's funny that you brought up the traveling, because a lot of people, they make the mistake of letting their house go and getting an RV, and they realize, oh.
Well, their living location is another issue, whether they should move, whether they should downsize. And if they're looking at moving, there are certain things they want to find in a new home, such as accessibility. And so planning for all of that. One client I had moved from another community where she had been very involved, and now she's trying to find her place here. So she was looking for some suggestions of how to get involved, and so we talked about that. She had done some good research, but there's that loss of community. Unfortunately, Prescott is a place where you can get involved, but it can take some time, and that can be somewhat unsettling.
I think it would be unsettling to meet all new friends and especially if you've lived somewhere a long time.
Right. There's that sense of loss
Yeah.
of job, of community. So, and sometimes people are no longer married or with a spouse. So there are those changes that come along with it.
And we also see people plan for retirement, and all the planning in the world can't prepare you for those unexpected events.
Right.
So you've got to be flexible too.
Right. I had one couple who they live in Prescott Valley, and the reason they're living in Prescott Valley is because they were traveling around in an RV, and one of them became ill. And fortunately, they were in a place where they said, well, let's stay here.
Okay, let's just stay here.
Yeah.
They were lucky.
Yeah.
They were lucky because that doesn't always happen.
Right.
And back to the financial too, I think folks don't realize one catastrophic medical event can wipe you clean.
And I don't do any of the financial advising.
But that's scary.
yeah.
So you teach life coaching. Do you do it as a class?
I do have a class that I offer through community education at Yavapai College. It's called Creating a Meaningful Retirement.
Nice.
And it's the first class I had, people just kind of wanted to talk and share, and that was great. I try to have some exercises we can do on, developing meaning or doing some planning, but it's great. It's kind of a group session where people talk about things that they're looking for and get ideas from others, not just me. So the group is a great way to learn and find out that you're not in the same boat. Also to meet people. There were people in the class who were like, well, I was hoping to meet some other retirees. So
nice.
So yeah. So
nice.
I'll be doing that in March.
And how long is the class?
It's 4 weeks.
Okay.
Hour and a half a night.
Okay. And it's one night a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's, it seems, for 4 weeks, that's quite a bit of content. So can you give me some examples of some of the things that you cover in the class, other than the group involvement? Sounds like the dynamic of the group really shapes the class.
Yes.
And that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about relationships. Are there relationships you'd like to build? Family or meeting people, friends. We talk about I'm not a physician or a health care provider, but we talk about how to stay healthy. We talk about volunteer opportunities. We talk about meaning, and with that, spirituality. But what does it mean to leave a legacy? What does it mean to contribute? And it seems that many people, when they retire, they just want to do nothing for a while. But then after a while, they start saying, okay, now what can I do? Because as we know, volunteering is good for the volunteer as well as the people.
It's very healthy. There's statistics and data that shows that you're actually healthier and can live longer if you volunteer and give, because it takes you out of yourself. It's interesting. I have another person that's contracting with me that she retired for 6 months, and she said, I slept for 6 months. I was exhausted. And she goes, I'm ready to go now.
Right. And often we need that. We need to decompress, and that was okay for now.
Especially if you have a stressful job. You know, and Yavapai College, we're so lucky because there's so many opportunities at the college for retirees.
True. We have the OLLI opportunities and the community education, but we also have the credit classes. And many people say, I've always wanted to learn to play the piano, or I've always wanted to take ceramics, and Yavapai College is a great resource.
You know, now we have the performing arts, so that makes it nice as well. And isn't there something to say about like learning an instrument or learning a new language?
Good for your brain.
Yeah, it's good for your brain. And I think everybody's thinking about brain health right now. It's really a lot in the media, and everyone's talking is kind of the forefront of our thoughts. I know I think about it a lot. My mother has Alzheimer's. So it's like, what can I do to be brain healthy?
Right.
And it's all connected.
Right, definitely.
It's all connected, and that purpose is connected. You know, so do you have guest speakers come in, or is it basically just you and
It's just basically me. It's
you
a
and the
short
gang.
class, yeah. I mean, I've thought about it, but if it was a longer class, maybe I would do that. But I do bring in a lot of resources, research, and
Nice.
Yeah.
And so do you do life coaching on the side, one-on-one?
I do. I have a little office in town that I share with a therapist friend, and clients are welcome to come in and do a free consultation to find out what coaching is about and what we might talk about. And then if they decide to continue, then I have an hourly fee.
So how do we get a hold of you for the life coaching, the private life coaching?
Well, my phone number
Please.
is 928-710-6153. And I also have a website, ArizonaRetirementCoach.com, all together.
Nice.
ArizonaRetirementCoach.com, that will outline my services, retirement, relationships, career, coaching.
Very nice. So, and then as far as the class goes, we need to go to the Yavapai College website, correct?
Yes, to community education.
Okay. So how long have you been doing the retirement aspect of your coaching?
Just about a year.
And your thoughts, how does it make you feel? Do you enjoy it?
Oh, I do enjoy it.
What does it do for you?
Well, I'm not a licensed therapist. I have a counseling degree and a psychology degree, but coaching is not about mental illness.
Right.
It's just helping people achieve their goals. So it really resonates with me because it's very similar to the work I've done with students, but with a different population. So I really enjoy helping people see where they want to go and then how are they going to get there. And so I'm providing information, support, encouragement, maybe some suggestions, but mostly coaching is about what the client wants and just helping the person get there.
It's interesting how many folks don't know what they want.
True. And they feel a little lost, but they just know something isn't quite right. So coaching is from a strengths-based perspective,
I like that.
Positive approach. So it's a good way to, some people think, oh, I'll think of it or I'll get there, but it's helpful to have someone to talk with and help you figure that out.
Have a map, have a plan. Like you
Exactly.
said, having a plan and being able to be flexible about that plan because you
Sure.
never know what's going to happen
Sure.
in life.
Right.
So what is the average age you're seeing in your practice?
Well, I'm seeing people who are retired and who are planning for retirement.
both.
So both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know our fastest growing population is over 80, and we're finding that that group is just like every other group, searching for meaning, searching for purpose. What do I do next?
Right.
You can't just think, well, I'm lucky to be up today. No.
Well,
yes, we are.
Yes.
But, let's have a plan for what we're going to do so you feel good about getting up
right.
and good about doing that.
Right.
So, so in your consultations for your private practice, which is what I'm going to call it, so how long is the consultation?
Half hour to an hour.
That's really nice, though. That's really generous of you to do that. Because that takes a lot of your time. I would imagine a large percent of the folks that come in for that end up being a client.
Some do, yes.
Some do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some other things that you work on when you're planning for somebody? I mean, we talked briefly about health. Do you get into, the benefits of exercise and that kind of thing, or?
I think they know that, and so they could seek out they would talk with a physician about what's safe, but then they could find a resource in the community. Many of the retirement communities have community rooms or exercise rooms, but we don't really talk so much about that as what am I going to do with my time? What am I going to do that contributes to my own knowledge, health, things I've always wanted to do, and then also what can I give back to my community?
Do you see a lot of folks come in that want to do something totally different?
Sometimes they do, or that they had a dream that they put aside to raise a family and do some other things. I find that people tend to focus more on creativity as they age as well. So many people want to get involved in the arts in some way.
And I had somebody on my show once that the quote that he said to me, I'll never forget. He said, "Dreams are not the property of the young,
Sure.
So we all have dreams and things, which kind of goes back to, some of our up-and-coming artists are in their 80s and 90s. So that's something that we can pursue, that now we have already raised our families. The grandkids are probably older as well, having their own kids, and now we can do something that's a little more fun.
Right.
So, and keeping our mind active is really, really important. Now, you say you offer resources. What are some of the resources that you have that you can share with your class?
Well, for example, there are many places that people can volunteer in Yavapai County. So I talk about their interests. Is there an issue that they are most fond of, like working with children or homeless, or reading to children, volunteering at an elementary school, something like that. So we look at volunteer work. Certainly the college is a great resource, and I'm very familiar with everything that's available there.
So why'd you name a few of them for our listeners, because I think it never hurts to repeat all the things, especially in the Division of Lifelong Learning that you have here.
Okay. Well, we have the community education courses. We have OLLI, which are courses, Osher Lifelong Learning, which are offered by retirees for other retirees. And then we have the credit courses that people can take for credit, or they can audit, but and that would be mostly art, music, acting, but also some people come in. I had a person who said, well, I've always wanted to study other religions. We have a comparative religions course.
Nice.
I mean, some people could just read, but some people like the classroom setting. Another great resource for retirees is the AARP website, a wealth of information on that website. So I always refer people there.
Good. Yeah, AARP has really changed, even just recently, about the real possibilities and how they're moving forward. And it's great to see, because I used to think when I was 50 and got my card, well, why should I join this organization?
Right.
But they do have a lot to say, and they're really really modernizing their outreach. So that is a good resource for them to
And some people want
into.
to work, at least part-time. And we have the Goodwill Career Center out on Iron Springs Road.
That's right.
They are excellent in helping people find jobs. So that's another great resource, no matter your age, that if you're looking for something part-time, you might need help with your resume. I can do that. Goodwill can do that.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Good. Excellent. And so when you say community education classes, what does that mean exactly? Does it mean I'm just taking a class for no credit? How much does it still cost something?
There's a kind of a variety of topics that are offered, and on the Yavapai College website, people can find all of those different topics, everything from, well, for example, when I saw all the financial planning courses, I thought there's no course about the other aspects of retirement. So But there's courses on health topics. Adventures is the college's program where people can go on short trips, or there are some that are longer, but usually it's just a few days off to Canyon de Chelly or Grand Canyon or something. So there's so many opportunities through the college.
We have a lot of rich geography around here to do
We
adventures.
do. Mm-hmm.
And the thing I like about that is that you get to go on an adventure, but you also get education about it.
Yes, and you are with experienced people
Yeah.
who can show you and do the planning for you.
So just like AARP, the possibilities are endless.
Yes, yes.
Anything else you'd like to add about your class or your practice here in the
Well,
Prescott area?
I just think that people need to know that coaching exists.
Yeah.
It's a fairly new field, and of course there are therapists in town when people have issues, troubles, things from the past. But coaching is more based on the present and
That's a good comparison.
just helping people create a better life through getting some ideas, some exploring of their interests and values. And so it's I think it's a upcoming profession for people.
Absolutely.
Some therapists are turning to coaching, and social workers, things like that realize it's another helping profession, but just a little bit different slant. But that said, it's a fairly unregulated field. So
You read my mind.
as I said in the article, kind of let the buyer beware.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that people can hang out a shingle and say they're a life coach, but you want to find someone who has training and experience. And
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, what regulations do we have, and how does someone know if it's a good coach? And I guess looking at their resume would be the first thing.
Well, that's something they should ask in that first exploratory session. What are your credentials?
Yeah.
What kind of training have you had?
You know?
So that's important.
Yeah, it's very important. Unfortunately, we have people hang out shingles for all kinds of things,
Right.
and seniors tend to be victims and targets. Not always victims, but definitely targets of people who are not always ethical or trained.
Right.
So when you talk about counseling, it to me, or coaching, it sounds to me like almost like teaching.
In a way.
Yeah.
In a way.
You know, because I think my teachers over my life have helped me organize.
Well, but the
You
thing
know?
with coaching is that the client is the expert in his or her life.
That's true.
And the coach, I mean, I can provide some teaching, some information, such as on how to create a resume, or what agencies are available, what organizations are available in Prescott, providing that kind of information. But the client makes the decisions about what's best for his or her life.
It almost sounds like our case managers. We try to do that with our clients because it's holistic based and strength based.
Sure.
You know, because you can come into anybody and say, "Here's your plan," but if it's not their plan,
Right.
what difference does it make?
Right. Right.
What difference does it make?
And it takes a while to figure these things out. You know, sometimes it just takes a couple sessions. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5. It's up to the client. You know what feels like enough, and clients can have phone calls in between sessions. We can do phone coaching. So we
Nice.
have an office, but if it's more convenient to talk on the phone, people out of the area.
That's nice to know because transportation is always a big problem for us.
Right.
Especially in the outskirts.
Right.
When we live out in the rural areas like where I live.
Right.
If I didn't have a car, I'd really be in trouble. And so we make sure our neighbors get, our elderly neighbors have rides to town and that kind of thing.
Right.
So technology is helpful sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes. Well, the phone, people can
Yeah.
use a phone.
Yeah.
So
And they can FaceTime
could.
or Skype.
Could.
If they wanted to see
Right,
you,
right.
because your beautiful blue eyes, they have a lot of intensity, and so I think that's makes someone feel calm.
Yes.
When they're talking
Yes,
to you
yes.
face to face
Right.
rather than on the phone.
Right.
So I would recommend them taking your class or coming by to see you at your office and calling ahead. And what was your phone number again?
928 710-6153.
Okay, so, and they'll show that on the byline. And then also, if they want to take your class, they can hook into the
Sign up
Yavapai
through
College.
community, yeah.
Yeah, and it's through community education.
Yes.
All right, so I really appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure.
And one thing we failed to mention is you're from New York.
I'm from New York. I grew up in New York State.
New York. This is a little bit different than New York, isn't it?
Yes, but it's
you're
much
here.
warmer.
Yes, it is.
Love those wide open spaces.
I want to say, New York City. No, I'm just kidding. Nice to have you here, and
Thank
what
you.
a great resource you are.
Thank you.
For all of us here in this community.
I'm
And
really enjoying it.
If you're not quite sure what you want to do with yourself when you're retired, or you're already retired and going, okay, I'm bored, or I need to do something different, this would be the way to go. Is to come and see Paula, give her a call, Paula Fust, and either go see her as a life coach, or maybe take her class at Yavapai College, so you can kind of figure out, what is my map? And it doesn't matter if you've been retired 2 minutes or 3 years or 4 years, you still may need to make a new plan. Maybe the plan you made didn't work and you need to make another one. So give Paula a call, and it was really nice to have you.
Thank you so much.
Again, I'm Mary Beals-Ludka, the Area Agency on Aging Director. If you have any questions about aging or long-term supports and services or volunteer opportunities, you can call us toll-free at 877-521-3500, and we would love to hear from you. We have 3 folks on the phone there, and they're all trained, highly trained, nationally certified in information referral. So don't think that you have to be of a certain category. You could be a daughter looking for something for your mother or your grandmother, or you could be somebody looking at, what are my retirement options, and we'll make sure we put you on our resource database so that we can refer folks to Paula as well. So again, thank you very much for joining us on Senior Moment. Successful aging. Until next time.